Hello to all my wonderful subscribers, you beautiful people. Welcome back to the Ruby Tuesday. My name's Ruben and this is my review for This England, a new Sky original series chronicalizing everything that we've just gone through. The hell that us Britons and a lot of the world have gone through. That's this. Let's jump in. This England follows the events surrounding Boris Johnson and his government in the face of the first wave of the global pandemic. So there are 6 episodes, around an hour apiece, and this series does this thing which is unnerving and has a really weird tone underneath the whole 6 episodes. There is this score that plays with a little bit of drum beats and tone that puts you unease. It's a very clever editing technique to hype up or intensify when there's a lot of monologuing and conversations that are needed. Similar thing to as what the West Wing used to do with their score, to kind of give you an idea of the importance of the conversations that are happening and how it's changing. And so as the world sees the global pandemic start to come into fruition, as they start to become aware of it, it chronicalizes those moments as Boris is in prime minister power and what goes on with his cabinet, and then looks at the NHS and the people around it. Now, the way this is edited, it feels like very much snapshots of people's lives and everything that's going on around, I was going to say the White House, but 11 Downing Street, around Boris Johnson. And it does humanize him as well, somewhat. Although there's still those moments that you can't believe things happened like they did. I do wonder whether this was too soon. We're still at the end game of the COVID-19 endemic rather than pandemic. We're in an endemic now, and there are still loads and loads of people infected daily. COVID is still a big thing here in England, and there's like a miniature wave, it seems, that of people being reinfected. My son's best friend just got COVID-19. We know America are still in the heights of that. It's still here, and with everything that we've gone through over the last few years, between the floods, world issues that have happened, it's just been heightened continuously. It does feel like we're still kind of living the situation they're now shining a light on. And I'm not gonna lie, when I saw episode 2, I think there's this family that it follows, I had a lump in my throat because I felt like this was too soon, this was too raw, it was too real. I think this is going to be very triggering for a lot of people, no matter your political affiliations. As a people group, we went through this together. We felt the effects. We all probably had people either directly related to us die or be very ill. My parents themselves were very ill from COVID, or you had close loved ones die from COVID, and it's just an horrific time. You know, it's not something that we'll look back fondly. It was just like, oh, that was nasty. And then there was all the whether it is real or whether it's not, the anti-vaxxers, all of that's kind of shined a light on in this series. It's edited very well, but it's the snapshots that makes the editing a little bit abrupt. But then we get to spend time with Boris and those around him, with his cabinet. And there are moments, like I said, that humanizes him. And I think Kenneth Branagh once again knocks it out of the park. I'm not 100% sold on the makeup. There are times where I just see Kenneth Branagh rather than Boris Johnson. They did this thing at the beginning where they're showing real footage of Boris Johnson. And then as we get further into the episode, they show us that it's Kenneth Branagh in makeup. I think it's okay for the most part. And I think he's acting and mannerisms, the way he speaks, that is all fantastic. He really got the character of Boris. I know a lot of people try to copy him and make fun of him with the way he moves and talks, but I think Kenneth Branagh took it one step further. He got all the mannerisms, but also got the parts where you see Boris monologuing things from Shakespeare or poetry, history. He's a very well-learned man, and he's often just kind of spouting those things as a reflection as to what's occurring. Even in general conversation with his loved ones, they'll say something and he'll go off of, but did you know the Amazonians had one of their breasts chopped off so they could be a better archer? He comes across as that guy that is always in his own world, but always trying to make it relevant. And that's part of the characteristics that Kenneth Branagh brought to the table while playing Boris Johnson, and I thought that was fantastic. I love the way he encapsulated that. Normally when you watch Kenneth Branagh, you kind of know what you're going to get. You know that the acting is at least going to be good. I think when going into this, you kind of need to put your prejudices aside about the man and what happens in the government, because if you watch this angry, you're going to be so much more angrier when you get to the end. Like I said at the beginning of this review, we have just lived that. In fact, we are still living the consequences of that with our money issues now, world government, bank issues, you just name it, the repercussions of the global catastrophe that was COVID and is still is reflected on this series, but we're living it. So it does feel like it's very soon. The editing was great, the score is good, the acting is very good, but I do question the time as to whether to put this out now is going to help us or hinder us more as a society. Depending on how many watch this, they may just get angry and stir up the same sort of issues. Maybe that's what they intended, I don't know. It is very entertaining. I was hoping it was going to be as good as something like The Crown, when it kind of chronicalizes history moments from the royals and then gives us an insight, gathering all that information that they did and dramatizing it. That is kind of what this is. In fact, it says at the beginning of each episode that this is a dramatization of things that happen. You can take it with a pinch of salt that they're guessing, they've gathered their resources, they're scripting kind of conversations that they think has happened because they don't know and they will never know for sure. They've gathered as much resources as they could to make it as accurate as possible, but it's still just someone's idea of what happened. So take it with a pinch of salt. But at the same time, all we have to do is go back and look at the news articles for the last 4 years or 5 years and understand that most of what's in this series is fairly accurate. Let me know your thoughts down below. I thought it's a very well put together series. Maybe a little bit long in the tooth. They pushed some of that. They concentrated more on the first pandemic. I would have liked them to kind of continue after that. It would have been interesting had they delved a little bit by ending that last episode with the new kind of regime and what we're still facing now since it's so close to home. It's a very interesting topical series, I guess, especially if you're in the UK. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thanks so much for watching. I'm going to give this 3.5 Nicolas Cages out of 5. Tyler! Woo! Most of all, until next time, remember, live long and Tuesday.